Alright, and this is my long play of Pit Fighter for the Super Nintendo. Now, I am commentating over a run I already did, and in this video I'll be going over just how this game works, the strategy I used, and overall how I feel about this game, my experience with it. Not that I really have that much to say because Pit Fighter wasn't really a game I grew up with, at least the Super Nintendo and even the Genesis version for that matter. The one I grew up with was in Midway Arcade Treasures 2 for the PS2. And if I'm not mistaken, that version of the game was running at the wrong speed, which is weird because when I played it at the time, I always thought that was the default speed. Like, because when you play it on the PS2 in the arcade collection, Midway Arcade Treasures 2, I should say, it ran way too fast compared to the arcade version, and I always thought it was supposed to be like that. So years later, when I eventually like got on the internet and looked up, footage of the arcade version, seeing it run slow, I was like, wait a minute, was it supposed to be like this? Like it was a very weird moment for me, that's for sure. But yeah, we are getting into the long play, and for this long play, I did pick Kato. So, what is the strategy? Well, there's a lot to go over already, but thankfully it is pretty simple. So the main strategy I'll be using, I should say I used for this run is I depended on jump kicks and grab loops. Now, the jump kick I'm using is by pressing up and kick at the same time. Hopefully I'm not wrong on that. I know the controls is like Y is block, B is kick, A is punch, and X is jump. But the jump kick in particular is really good. And again, I don't mean pressing jump and then kick. I mean pressing up and kick at the same time to perform a jump kick. And the reason why this move is so good, as you can see here, is because it knocks the opponent down instantly when it lands. Now, along with the jump kick, I am using a grab. And to grab the opponent, I think you have to in this long play, I was mashing up. Like, I was holding up and mashing the punch button. So you just press up and punch to throw the opponent. And this is really good if you can be in the middle of their sprite, because when you're in the middle of their sprite, it's much easier to grab them when they get up, whereas if you're like on the sides and you try to grab them, they'll most likely hit you back and it becomes a mess. Now, after those two fights, you do get a bonus round. It is very, very important that you win these fights because like each bonus round and each fight, obviously, because you do not get health back in this game. The only way to get health back in between stages is by increasing your score. And the first health increase you get is at 50,000 points. Now, another mechanic of this game is the power pill. You might have noticed that, I already used it, but you might have noticed that under my points is 2 Ps, which is it says SP right there. And, oh wow, this was really close. I'm at 16 health. But, I should mention that I did do this, I did this long play about a few days ago, and I'm pretty much recording it, my commentary right now. But what those Ps do is, they're similar to the power pill in the other ports, like the Mega Drive and the arcade port, where you get in this port you get one for winning. Like each match you do get a power pill. The max you can have is 3, so it's recommended to like use one or whatever if you're about to like win. But the way to work in this game is you activate it by pressing L and R, and not only do they temporarily give you access to your super moves, which in the other versions you can do them at any time, but in this version you have to have a power pill active in order to use it. But not only do they give you access to your special move, but you also get an increase in strength and an increase in defense. And it's a very, very huge increase because like you'll go from taking like 16 to 20 damage from strikes to taking like 1 damage. So getting like saving up your power pills, especially for the hard fights, is very, very important. And again, points is very important too, because points give you health back, and the power pills you always get one after each fight. So as you can see, the strategy is jump kicks and grab loops. However, if I ever drop the loop, or I feel like the run's about to go south, that is when I use one of the power pills. A good example is this fight right here against Eddie. I think his name is Chainman Eddie, if I'm not mistaken, but the problem with this character is that you cannot lift him. Like, even if you use Buzz, I think, like Buzz has to actually do his super to lift him. But no matter who you're using, you can't grab him normally, so The strategy against Eddie is to use 2 power pills. Unless he's like really low on health, then maybe I can get away with not using another, like right here. So I said just depend on jump kicks, because I cannot use a grab loop here. And thankfully I do get him, and that should give me enough points for another health increase. I think it's at 150,000 if I'm not mistaken. So maybe it's the next fight I would get it. But yeah, this game is very, very scary to get through, because again, you just have 1 life bar. You only get 1 life in this game. There's no 2 lives or continues. You get 1 chance and that is it, which is absolutely gross. But it is manageable, as you see here. So I guess I might as well talk about, well, actually before I get into that, I should mention a few other aspects about the strategy I'm using here. First off, you'll notice that at the round start, you see Kato bow. That is the worst thing ever. Oh, and there's a health increase, but that is the worst thing ever, because the bow animation actually, it actually leaves you open and the opponent can get a cheap hit in. So what I do in this run is I actually cancel the bowing animation, and the way I do it is by holding block, which is like I think is Y on the Super Nintendo controller, and mashing back, and that will allow me to get out of that bowing animation and not get hit for free. So you see it right here, like you see I immediately get out of that animation. I just held Y and I mashed back in order to get out of that. And if it does get a little messy, I just pop a power pill, because again, you always get 1 after each match. So there's nothing wrong with like using 1 here, because I'm gonna get it back once I win anyways. But I do want to try to save them, because there is 1 more fight against Eddie, and I also want to use it against the final boss. So I'm not trying to use all of them, even if it does get messy after the first pill. Now, another problem with this strategy is, I don't know why I said another problem, but I should say a problem with this strategy is, as good as the flying kick is, which is up and kick, which is up and B, if I'm not mistaken, if you do it too close to the opponent, you instead get this really slow and wonky flip, like this flip kick, kind of the somersault. It's really bad. It barely hits the opponent, and they'll most likely hit you out of it anyways. So I never use it. I just think it's a very bad move. So when it comes to knocking them down, I always make sure I have some distance, because if I don't have enough distance, then I would get the wrong move. And of course, once I do get the knockdown, I go right under their sprite and try to stay right in the middle, so that I can guarantee a grab, as not being in the middle will make it more likely that they hit me back. Now, I feel like I pretty much went over the strategy in macrocosm. There's not really much else for me to talk about in terms of how to get through this game, because that's exactly what I'm going to do for the rest of this long play. And yeah, like it's just me going through the bonus stages. It's really easy. Like whenever you get to the grudge match, just keep doing the jump kick, which is up and B, and you should get through it no problem. And yeah, that is a lot of points. I'm pretty sure that's enough for another health increase. Oh, it's not. Okay. I think the amount of points you need increase every time, which goes to show you how little I play this game. Speaking of which, I might as well talk about that, I guess. So, yeah, Pit Fighter on SNES. This game it's dog shit. It's one of the worst games ever. I know this because, well, I came to this conclusion years ago, because this was during a time where I was just messing around with like emulators and like messing around with some games, because this wasn't a game I really grew up with, and I came across Pit Fighter for the Super Nintendo. I played it for 3 minutes and I stopped. I never played it again after that. I just had no interest in ever playing this game. I didn't even bother looking up any videos of this game either. I think the last time I've seen a video on this port was, what was it? I think I was watching, I think it was one of AVGN's episodes, like the wish list, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, this game sucks. I think it's really, really bad. But here's the thing about that. I only spent like after the last time I played it, when I played it for 3 minutes years ago, I figured that sometime after I did the guide on the Sega Genesis version, by the way, you should check that out if you haven't already, which is the superior port compared to this at least. But after I did the Sega Genesis version, I told myself, okay, even though I'd love to believe that the SNES version doesn't exist, I feel at some point I should give it some time. Not give it a chance, because there's nothing in this game that will ever change my opinion on how bad it is. But just give it a chance in terms of trying to beat it. And I did. That's what I did pretty much this week. I decided to just turn it on for a bit. I'm not kidding when I say this. It took me 1 hour. Without, I didn't look anything up. I just went to play it myself, just figure stuff out, dude, like I usually do. It took me 1 hour to figure out the strategy, and about half an hour of failed attempts until I got the attempt that you see here. Cause I'm gonna be real, this game is easy. At least for me. Like I thought this was gonna, like I really thought this was gonna take me hours, and I was just gonna give up and say screw it. And I think if it took me more than 3 or 4 hours, I probably would have stopped. But yeah, I just kind of went through with it, and eventually I finished the game right here. I still have plenty of health left too, 255, and yeah, that's the ending. It's just this screen. And with that said, that was Pit Fighter for the Super Nintendo. I really didn't have that much to say about it. This game pretty much, my total play time outside of the very first time I played it is like 2 hours. I still think this game is hot garbage, even though I'm quote unquote good at it. And I'm sure like there are some really good long plays or speedruns out there that make this game look way easier. Like maybe there's some strategy that's way easier than what I was doing here, but I think the best strategy for this game is to not play it. This is not worth playing. There are so many better options out there that actually had effort put in. Play those games instead. Which is weird because I sound very calm throughout this commentary, but the thing is that like, even though I think this game is absolutely awful, it didn't piss me off because I only spent 2 hours. It wasn't like some of the more horror, well, no, they're not more horror, but I should say it wasn't like some of the other bad games I've played on the Sega Genesis where like if I'm making a guide on them, it just ends up taking weeks, like, or at least a week, and I'm just losing it. Like I guess Time Killers is a good example, as in I put weeks into that game and like I just wanted to get it over with at some point. But this game only took me 2 hours, and because of that, I'm not nearly as agitated as I would be with like the other games I've played in the past. That being said, I think this is easily one of, if not the worst game I've played yet. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this long play, and with that said, I'll see you later.